Hey guys, welcome back to the Frank Driscoll Show. We have an amazing guest today. We have not only an author, not only a speaker, one of the top real estate coaches, as well as agents in the country. Please welcome Ricky Carruth to the show. Thanks so much for being here, Ricky. How you doing?
Absolutely, man. Glad to be here. Doing well.
Good, good, good. As has this COVID-19 has this affected you or your family at all, or friends that you know out there, and as far as in the real estate world, or just on a personal level?
Nobody's really caught it. I mean, I know a few clients, that caught it. They know people that got it, but none of my family or close friends, thank goodness. So there really hasn't been a lot of cases in my state here in Alabama. So we've been really fortunate on that front. But we're still at home. We still, we're shut down. The beaches are shut down. Businesses are shut down. So it's definitely affected our lives. Regardless. So, it's been good. It's been a lot of, a little restructuring and, give us a chance to kind of take a step back and look at everything, objectively. From afar, because when you're busy, you're just too busy. You can't really see anything. You're just kind of blinded by trying to get the deals done that's in front of you. So it's been good. It's been a nice little readjustment and rearranged a few things, and I'm looking forward to getting back to work. So
I I totally hear you, and I'm really glad that your family isn't too affected by it. Where obviously concerns go out for the people that are or suffering through it, but I'm very glad to hear that it's at least not directly affecting you, and I can totally feel that you want to get back to work. Let me ask you this: what's your background? How'd you get into real estate? I feel like you've been doing this since you were 20 for a long time. Just kind of tell us how you got into it briefly, and share that a little bit with us.
well, yeah, I got out of high school. I was roofing houses with my dad, and I went to college. I went to four different schools in 2 years. And I failed a history class, and I didn't see the value in college. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of value, but I just didn't see it. I was ready to be productive. I felt like I was building debt instead of building a business. So I got in real estate. I realized it was just one class to get your license. And so, I decided to give that a shot. In my area where I live, it's a small town, real small town. There's not a lot of, big time jobs and stuff. So, real estate agent is one of those jobs that was appealing, selling condos on the beach and stuff. And, there were these guys that were multimillionaires. And so you think, no, that could be something. So I knew a few agents already because my mom owned a hair salon. And so I knew several agents, before I even got my license, just friends of my mom's. And, it just ended up being a good fit. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was just kind of giving it a shot, and it worked out. So um, I got in because I wanted to help people. The in the beginning, I wanted to help first-time home buyers. That was my thing, and once I got in the business, I realized, yeah, I don't know if I want to help first-time home buyers. It's a lot of work. And I did a couple of easy deals, condos on the beach, and I thought, well, that's where I want to be. So I moved over to condos on the beach and kind of focused on that market. And you know, the rest is kind of history.
Well, great job. For those that don't know, I mean, Ricky is absolutely, torn it up. And, I've been following him for the last 2 or 3 years. Just one thing that I'm just ultimately impressed is your social media dominance. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in it, that are in the game and doing well, but there's not very many people that I know just across multiple channels. I mean, we're talking to 40,000 plus YouTube channels dominating on Instagram. I mean, why don't you tell us how that journey started? Dominating a Facebook group as well. I mean, just really got into it. What kind of caused that spark and started doing it? And why don't you tell us a little bit about what it was like to go out there and meet Gary Vee?
Well, I don't really use social media too much in my real estate business. Not to say that it's bad to use it. I just don't think it's as effective as other things. I think organic reach is really low. I think email marketing, organic reach is way higher. I think voice to voice is king when it comes to real estate sales. So social media is just something that should be kind of a cherry on top for the foundation of phone calls and emails. So I never did use it in real estate. I didn't need to. I just focused on what I thought was the most super highest productive, efficient activities. So, after I lost everything in the crash, sleeping on friends' couches, worked on the oil rig, and came back in the business, and built my business back up, and then surpassed where I was and started selling 100 properties a year in 2014. I took a look at my business and I said, is this real? Because I made it before and lost it and then made it again. And so you got to sit back and say, I don't know, is this real this time? So I waited another 2 years. So I sold 100 properties a year for 3 years before I ever even started to think about writing a book or coaching or speaking or doing YouTube or Facebook or any of that stuff. And so I wanted to know that what I was going to share was real. I had something to actually share, because a lot of coaches don't, they hadn't even been in the business that long. They hadn't even sold that many properties. They hadn't even been through a crash. So I felt like I had some value to bring. And so I wrote 2 books really quickly and started coaching. So through that, I realized, this is a global business. This is a global business, and the only way I'm going to reach people on a high level and really make a difference is social media. So I go from a business where I wasn't using social media, didn't need social media, to a business where you have to do social media, and so I was up for the challenge. I said, great. So I dive in. The first platform I wanted to figure out was Facebook. So I started that journey. I watched all the other coaches and what they were doing. And so I started a group and I started a page and started, posting content, and got that going in a direction that I liked. And then I opened up an Instagram account, and started messing around with that, posting there every day, figuring that out. Somewhere along the lines, I caught a piece of Gary Vee's content and I started watching it because he was speaking my language. The first video I saw his was the Monday morning rant video, and it was exactly how I feel. It's exactly how I feel. I'm like ready for Monday, love Mondays. I'm ready to get to work, ready to go to war, ready every day. And you know, through listening to him and seeing where I was in my journey, it kind of made me realize I needed to be on more platforms. So I started to add platforms to what I was doing: YouTube, podcasts, Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of them. And so, it doesn't happen overnight. You just don't go from zero to posting on every platform. I did it in stages. It was Facebook, then it was Instagram, then it was YouTube. Once I got the platform moving in a positive direction and had a little momentum, then I felt like I could leave that alone for a second, continue posting, continue engaging, but then also spend more time on some other platforms and kind of get them going. So that's kind of the journey of it. And so, yeah, at some point I realized he offered the 4Ds, which is an opportunity to go to New York and go to his office and sit down with him and his team and actually explain what I was doing, and hear what they had to say about it, and kind of collaborate with them, if you will. So that was cool. And the biggest thing for me is, I really felt like at that point, because he actually inspired me to coach for free, because I was charging for a second. And then he inspired me to do all the social media stuff. And it really came from, his inspiration. Of course, I listened to it, I took notes, and I took action. A lot of people don't do that. So, but he did inspire me to take these actions, and now I'm where I am and still growing at a rapid pace and going to continue to grow. So I wanted to tell him to his face, that he was the reason why I'm on this path to be the top demanded real estate coach, speaker, in the world. So that was really cool.
Well, look, it's been an amazing journey to watch, because I think I saw kind of that rise, as your explosion happened. And what I'm really impressed is how much great content you deliver on a day in and day out basis. And as someone that, kind of is in that space myself, I am just so impressed. So tell us what that process is like to even create this kind of content. What is that kind of brainstorming? How does that come about, just to be able to create all this great content that you have to offer for people?
Well, I mean, it's like it goes back to Gary. He says document what you're doing. Don't necessarily create per se. You're trying to create content that's going to be appealing, but you're more so using what you actually do on a day-to-day basis to create the content. You're documenting what you do, which is very interesting. It's an interesting look. It's a different angle. There's also the creation that side of it that really crushes. You see TikTok, you see the videos that go viral. They're videos that are very creative, and people did create them. They aren't documenting, they're creating. So there's the other side of it. So I think when you find the perfect balance between the two of creating and documenting, then you've really got something to work with. So I do a lot of podcasts and shows like this. Before the Corona pandemic, I had like 10 events set up all around the country to speak at.
Ah,
So I do a lot of speaking events, which I really want to get back to. I really love being on stage. So as I'm at these events, I document that, and that makes great content. And then you just try to, outside of that, you just try to think about what people need. What do you have? What are you doing that could help someone? What is the majority of people going through right now that they could use some help with? And you just think of these little situations, and it turns into content. So it's a process. Like I say, you don't go from 0 to 100. You ease into the process. You take it day by day, content, piece of content by piece of content. And a lot of people say, well, what do you post every day? What am I supposed to post every day? And I look at their account, and they haven't posted in 3 weeks. And so, before you know what to post, you have to know what not to post. And the only way to know that is if you're posting. You need to post every day for 6 months before you can ever even start to ask questions. I mean, before you actually have data to go by, based on your own experiences, it's kind of hard for me to tell you what you should post when you're not posting. And I don't know what works well for you and what you're about. I don't even know what you're about because I don't see any of your content. You know what I mean? So consistency is the number one thing, and then you just build off of it.
what keeps you going? And that's great advice for those people out there. And I loved your comment on the 6 months. I really believe that it takes a lot of effort, for 6 months before you can really start, building that consistency and momentum. What keeps you going when you don't feel like doing it, right? Like, how do you overcome those challenges when you're not growing as fast as you want to be? What are some things that, from on a personal level, that you do to overcome those things?
I've learned a long time ago, man, that you don't even focus on how fast you're growing. You don't look at unsubscribes to your weekly email list. You don't look at number of subscribers of your social media channels. It's kind of out of your hands. What you need to focus on is posting every day and being consistent with whatever it is that you're doing. That's what should bring you the happiness to where, or that's what should bring you the gratification or the satisfaction, not the results, because you just can't control the results. You may do a video you think is going to go super viral and it doesn't get anything, and then you may do one that you think is crap and it goes viral. You have zero control over what's going to happen. You just have to put the work in. So I don't ever since I realized that results don't matter and all I can do is all I can do, I literally shut off by about 5 or 6 o'clock. I totally, completely shut down. I don't care what I have left to do. I mean, if it's something really super important, then I'll do it if it takes a second. But I'm at the point where I'm done. That way I can relax the rest of the day and then recharge for the next day. So that recharging period in the evenings where I completely shut my mind off from work, that's what keeps me in a state of hyper production during the day. And I never really feel those down moments or those moments where I don't feel like doing something or whatever. I don't have those moments because I've balanced the time that I recharge myself and my mind and my body against the time that I need to be hyper productive and really get stuff done. And then I'm just super happy with whatever results come out of my actions. It may not be as high of results as what I want, but it's going to be as high as I can get because that's all I did. And you have to, at some point, you got to be happy with it. I mean, you're never going to get it at all. So at some point, you just got to say, you know what, I'm happy here. You know.
Love it. And man, I mean, so many nuggets to take from that. I love that point where you just shut off to be able to get the recharge, to be able to grind the next day. I think there's a lot of people that are pushing hard and you could burn out over time if you're not getting that recharge, or if you're only gauging your success by results. Well, then you work hard and don't get it. Now it's going to turn you off from actually doing the work day in, day out. So I love it. Changing gears a little bit. I know you dominated for Remax for so long, and I know recently you made a switch to EXP. Can you tell us about that process of how that came about?
Well, I just came to a point where I just didn't feel like I was appreciated where I was. And, it was just time for a change. I really wasn't looking for a change, but it just kind of happened. And, EXP is just one of those things where last year just was not very impressive. And then this year they're incredibly impressive. So, I decided it was a good fit. And, it's a platform that I can use with my influence to help agents even more than I already was. My Zero to Diamond coaching program is a monster. I mean, it grows tremendously every day, and it's helping thousands of agents all over the world. And that's kind of something that's just in motion. It's just there's a lot of momentum behind that. So, now that that's in place and that's moving in the direction to change the industry, now I can spend time. It's the same thing. I built my real estate business through a weekly email. And now I know I sell 100 properties a year with no cold calls. It's all from my personal brand I built through the weekly email. I do the weekly email. I get prospects. I'm busier than I've got more deals than I can handle. So now I have time to go and build other businesses. So now I have the time to build the coaching business. So I built the coaching business. Now the coaching business is built. Now I have time to build another business. Well, what am I going to do? Well, I want to do something that involves helping agents. So this is just another avenue that I can use to really help and mentor agents and help them, because I have the resources to help anybody do anything they want to do. If they want to get their volume up, if they want to build a huge downline, if they want to do YouTube, write a book, speak, I can put people on stages all over the country in front of agents. Anything any agent wants to do and accomplish, I can easily help them figure out what the day-to-day activities are today that'll help them get there, in 5 years. Because that's what I'm really good at. Once I know what your 5 or 10 year really scary big goals are, that's what I'm good at. I can tell you, because I've already done all this stuff. I can tell you exactly what you need to do day to day now to get where you want to be in 5 years. So I'm just using EXP as a platform to do that with agents.
Well, it sounds incredible. And one thing that I definitely get a takeaway is the extreme level of confidence. And that just comes from the experience of doing it. A lot of people will talk about certain things, but, you've actually done it. And I can't help but think you're just going to be successful at pretty much everything you try, because it's just that same pattern over and over again. So where can people, if they're watching, reach out? What is the best way for them to contact you if they're interested in getting that help, maybe from the Zero to Diamond coaching or connecting with you? Where would you say is the best place to go?
Yeah, the best place if you want to get involved in the coaching, that's at 02diamond.com, all spelt out. There's a 90-day action plan. As soon as you get through it, that 90 days, just email me for a coaching call. We'll get on the call. All that's completely free. And then the best place to ask questions in the meantime is Instagram. I answer all the DMs there. That's the best platform if you want to communicate with me. And then, of course, my YouTube channel. I'm posting videos there every single day. So I don't know. It might be the best real estate agent YouTube out there. I don't know, but that's debatable.
Well, I think it's great and offers tons of advice for people. And we're going to put the links below before. And then what would you say with agents that are considering joining EXP? What do you think you would want to tell them if they're considering that, taking a look at it?
I think you got to do what's right for you. It's not for everybody, but I believe it is the future of real estate. I think we're going to see a lot of cloud-based brokerages pop up after this. After EXP is proven in the market now, and it is the way of the future. Especially with the pandemic, everybody's working from their houses, doing Zoom calls, and doing everything virtually, and open houses virtually, and showings virtually, and we've already been signing documents virtually. So it's definitely the direction that the industry is going in, and it's one of those things you can either get involved with it or not, and either way is fine. And like I say, it's about what makes you happy, where you feel like you need to be, where you feel like it is the best for you. When I'm talking to agents that are thinking about coming under me, I tell them that I'm not trying to recruit you or convince you or sell you on this. This is your decision. This is what I think is the best model out there. And on top of that, I have a lot to offer. And if it doesn't work, that's great. That means that you're where you're happy, and that's what I want. I mean, I'm doing this to help agents, and so if they're happy where they are, I want them to stay where they are. You know what I mean? So it's a personal decision, but I do think it's the future.
I would completely concur. I've seen, I had a chance, I guess, to join a few years ago as well. And, I really took a look at it and, I liked it. But I think as time went on, I really looked at the model. I agree with you. It's just the best model I have seen. I'm super happy. It's changed my life. And definitely take a look if it matches up with Ricky and all the things he's doing, and taking a look at it, it makes sense to join with him. That would be a great opportunity. Or if it doesn't, and still do his coaching with him. Either way, you're going to win.
Either way it goes, man. What's so cool is with EXP is it is a company full of agents trying to help agents. Everybody, the culture at EXP is what I love. Everybody's trying to help each other at such a high level, more than I've ever seen ever. And that's one thing I like, because I'm an agent that helps agents, and so it really fits what I'm doing and how I'm trying to influence the industry in a positive way. So it's a win-win, for everybody.
I completely agree. And Ricky, thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the people that are watching? Maybe if they're struggling, they want to get to your level. One piece of advice would you give them before we sign off?
I would say that, no matter what business you're in or whatever you're trying to do in life, just remember that whoever within that niche or within that business helps the most people, right, and builds the biggest brand is going to win, right? And so we need to stop looking at the business in terms of transactions, how many transactions, how much money, and we need to start focusing on how many relationships that we're creating and maintaining every day in our market, and how can we find enormous growth in that area. And if we do that, then we're going to have an incredibly large business that's going to withstand pandemics and market crashes and so on and so forth. And we're gonna have a more fulfilling, gratifying life, because we've built the largest business. We're number one in our industry, and we're helping people. You know what I mean? So that's what I would leave it with.
Well, Ricky, thank you so much. That was great advice. And guys, we'll put the contact information. If you like the content, please like and subscribe and comment on some of the things that Ricky talked about that you like the most. I really appreciate you being on the show. Look forward to having you on again in future and your future success. Thank you so much, guys, and talk to you soon.